Taylor here with Agri Drones. With me is Nathan, one of our drone techs. Today we're doing something interesting, something that everybody's been questioning a lot, is the Agras T40 versus the XAG P100 Pro. Now, a lot of you guys may have seen these drones. You may have heard about efficiencies here and there. You may have heard what's different, but you may have a lot of questions. And so we're gonna try to answer all those questions: the equipment, the hardware, the software, the remotes, the efficiency, the operation, everything. We'll go through it all, and we'll have somewhat of a bit of a comparison on the efficiency as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to power up remotes, put batteries in drones, set the drones up at the same time simultaneously, land them up on the trailer, and then we're going to actually spray the same field and kind of see where the efficiency falls and talk about everything through the process. Let's get started. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. So I'm going to go ahead and boot up the remote on the T40. That's booting up right now. Put the battery in, boot it up. While those are booting up, I'll take the straps off the props, and fold these out. Both the T40 and the P100 Pro set up very similarly. They both have 4 arms. T40 has 8 props instead of 4, but it really doesn't affect how quickly you can actually unfold it and everything. It's about the same. The biggest difference here is connectivity. I'm going to turn on my screen recording so you guys can see. You see right now I'm already actually booted up. So I can go ahead and take the T40 off, which I'll do right now, and land it on the trailer. All right, I'll go up there and fill the T40, my field as I go. So seriously, I got my field already made. We've done this on both remotes actually. So I hit use, make sure I got my right template. Fungicide 2 is my template. I'm gonna run 32-foot swath. We can go up to 34 on the T40, but I'll use 32 just because that's what some of our customers use 32. All right, so while I'm filling this up here, let's kind of take a look at a bit more about the T40. So you see we have coaxial motors. One spins counterclockwise, one spins clockwise. That's on every arm. So every arm is actually putting out the same type of prop wash or vortex. Pumps are down here. That's one of the differences between the P100 Pro and the T40 is the pumps. These have rotary style pumps, but they have about the same nozzle setup. So this is a rotary nozzle or centrifugal nozzle, very similar to the P100 Pro. All right, we're full. So I'm going to hit start, save and run, slide to take off.
Aircraft preparing to take off. Stand back at a safe distance.
Actually, just saw an obstacle. T40 has really good obstacle avoidance, sometimes too good. All right, there you go. Nathan's taking off. And in fairness, you probably were ready for about, what, 30 seconds or so?
Yeah, I forgot to turn the phone on whenever I turn on the controller, so I just finished up. It would have been a little quicker if I'd done that.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so what Nathan was saying, if you couldn't hear him, is he actually, with the XAG system, you've got a remote. Here, I'll take that, Nathan. You've got a remote and you've got a phone. So this is the system for the XAG. The phone talks to the remote talks to the drone. And so you have to power both up. You have to connect the remote to the drone through the Wi-Fi network, basically. Then you have to connect the phone to the remote. And the phone does the automation part of it, and the remote kind of does the manual part of it as far as flying, and it actually sends the signal to the drone on the XAG system. So it's one more thing you have to set up. I mean, the app on here is actually not bad. It's pretty functional. It works pretty good. There's some learning curves like everything. I would say that the DJI system probably has a lot less of a learning curve. Once you learn it, it's not bad on the XAG side or the DJI side. All right, I'm going to show you. So I guess details of this field. This field is about 3,000 feet long, so a little over a half mile. There you go. And you can see right now, yeah, we are 3,100 feet away. There we just hit the end of the field with the DJI, with the T40, and we have perfect signal on our camera. So I can turn our camera down, up. We have a gimbal on this camera, and I've not lost signal at all. If you do happen to lose signal with the T40 on a certain field, a hilly field, there's a DJI relay that you can use to actually extend your range. All right, so there goes the XAG. So I don't know if you noticed that whenever the XAG went out to the field, it went straight out and then it turned and kind of curved over to its flight path. So the DJI actually goes straight to its start point, whereas the XAG, it goes into the field boundary, the shortest path, and once it's in the field boundary, it turns and goes to the start point. Not that that's necessarily any big difference in the efficiency or anything like that. It's just a difference in operation. Yep. All right, there you go. You got both drones out there. The T40 is on its way back. So the T40's flight speed right now is 32 feet per second. The XAG is flying a bit faster. What are you at, 13 meters a second?
Yeah, 13.2, I believe.
Yeah, so in meters per second, the T40 would be about 10 meters per second right now. So in comparison, the XAG can fly about 30% faster. The T40 currently is limited to 10 meters or 32 feet per second. This actually may change, but that's what our current status. Okay, so you can see I'm almost out of product, so I'm going to go ahead and hit the return to home button and bring the T40 back. I could fly it back manually, but we'll use the return to home button. All right, so I have manually taken over right now, just to land a bit softer. Grab me a battery, Nathan. While I was talking, I forgot to grab a battery. Do a quick swap here and hopefully I get it taken care of before we're full. Battery swaps in the T40 are really easy. It's one battery, it boots up really quick. There we go. And we're going to hit resume, slide the tape up.
Stand back at a safe distance. Start task.
Clear out my obstacle avoidance. There it goes. There you see the XAG's coming back.
Aircraft emergency braked.
So the XAG has a bigger tank on it. It does have a 50-liter tank, or that's about 13 gallons, versus 10.5 gallons on the T40. This does mean that you can fly further. But what we didn't mention earlier when we were talking about flight speed is swath. So the swath on a T40, it's been tested multiple times by multiple people, both independent and users, and at 10 feet high and full speed, so 32 feet per second, you're looking at a swath on the T40 between 30 and 34 feet, depending on how you set it up. So we've got ours set at 32 right now. And the XAG, on the other hand, because of the way that the props are, I don't know if you guys can see this. I got you, Nathan. See if I can help him out here. There we go. So the props on the XAG system are horizontal to the airframe. So they're not slanted really in any way. They're set up for maximum lift, essentially, pushing straight down. Versus on the T40 side, the props, the motors are actually tilted in two different directions, front versus back. This is not for lift, this is for swath on the T40 to create a wider swath, essentially to create a better vortex as you fly at speed. So the XAG system really relies on its speed to create that swath, but because the way the props are set up, it still doesn't have as wide of a swath as the T40. Okay, we're set up ready to go with the XAG. Nathan, what swath are you using?
I'm using, let me look, it was one of the templates. Let me see here. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong thing. It's supposed to be 2 gallons an acre.
2 gallons an acre
This is
at what swath?
Oh, it's swath. It would have been
Route spacing.
Yeah.
You probably can't see that from that screen.
No, I can't.
Yeah. Equivalent of 27 feet, correct? Looks
That's
like,
what it should be.
it's like you just paused out there. Or is it? Oh, it's still going. It just switched over to the next flight path.
And it also started spraying further out because I was down grabbing myself batteries.
Yeah.
So.
You bet.
Yeah.
Okay. But your route spacing, that's what we were getting at. Your route
Yes.
spacing is set to 27 feet.
It
Why?
should be.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because that is what we've heard. XAG says that's the most efficient route spacing for their drones.
The most effective. So
Effective, yeah.
route spacing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 27 feet versus 32 feet is what you typically run on T40. And we haven't independently tested that on the P100 Pro, but visually speaking, side-by-side comparison with the T40 and P100 Pro, that is pretty evident.
Paused.
All right,
Tank empty.
and I just,
Hovering.
yeah, I wasn't paying attention. I let the T40 run out. Normally we bring it back to the edge of the field. I'll go to my settings here and change that. That's the nice thing about the T40. You do have a ton of settings that you can customize very, very easily. DJI is a consumer brand. They've got consumer drones, so they make things for people that are, operating small drones and big drones as well. So you see, just like the XAG, the T40 will spin as it comes home, just to increase efficiency, and faces the same direction that it took off from. Watch your legs there. Okay. All right, bring the battery out. Go ahead and start filling it up first. So when you look at the flight speed versus the swath width versus the tank size on the P100 Pro, we can actually go more linear feet. We can go about almost a full mile down and back with the P100 Pro. The T40, if we use that 30-foot swath and we have a 10-gallon tank at a 2-gallon rate, 3/4 of a mile is as far as we can go on a full tank down and back.
Start task. Aircraft preparing to take off. Stand back at a safe distance. Push control stick right to cancel. Fly with caution. Resume task.
XAG is coming back right now. I'm going to point out a few things on this drone whenever Nathan lands it. I'll take your remote.
Yep.
Try to grab him some batteries. These ones?
Yeah.
All right, there you go. All right, so the few differences we have on the P100 Pro versus the T40. The radar, it only has one radar on it on the front, and it's actually sideways. So that radar does your forward obstacle avoidance and your terrain following. We have two cameras, forward and downward. They're not on a gimbal, they are fixed. And then the spray system is very similar as far as what the pumps are like, or the tips are like. These are nozzles very similar to the DJI, but the pumps are actually peristaltic pumps. And they do have a higher flow capacity than the T40. So it can output, it can actually output double the flow as the T40. So if you're doing really high volume stuff, 5 gallons per acre, something like that, then you could actually discharge a bit faster with the P100 Pro. Now there you see, it's very similar as far as how you actually take off and resume the mission with both drones. The XAG seems to actually have a bit more smoother transitions from the takeoff point. Coming home, they're about the same. Turning around, they're about the same. But on the takeoff, the XAG does seem to actually have a bit smoother transition. This is actually something that DJI keeps improving on the software side, are the transitions and the flight route adjustments. Yeah. How many acres are you at right now?
I have done 8.1
Okay.
acres.
And we're at 13 here. So, when we talk about efficiency, there's been T40s that are out in operation for the past about a year now, actually, as we film this video, and thousands of them. And in this situation here, where you have a 3/4 mile long field or half-mile long field, you're able to make a down back pass on a full tank, bring it home, swap the batteries, which we're getting ready to come home, so I better get myself a battery. Where efficiency-wise on the T40, at 40 or 5 acres an hour at a 2-gallon rate. That's been tested time and time again, so we're very confident in that number. Now, there's not as much known about efficiency on the P100 Pro, just because there hasn't been as many of them out there. So really, we have to rely on the marketing and some user experience. Right now, what we're seeing with the swath width on the P100 Pro, in this situation here, we're going to expect about the same efficiency as the T40. Possibly less. It just depends on how you set it up, I guess. Nathan, what you got going on out there? You get that?
I'm not for sure. It says, I don't know if I bumped the stick because it said remote control had control. I told it to take back over. I think it's going back now.
Okay. So it said remote control had control?
Yeah. When I hit resume tab, go, and I hit hover there.
We're going to take off. Watch out behind you.
Start task. Aircraft
Give you
preparing
a spot
take
to
off.
land.
Stand back at a safe distance. Fly with caution. Resume task.
That's one thing that we have noticed on the XAG. Again, that communication between the remote and the drone, and the phone and the remote, that's just one more chain of communication, and you are relying on just a traditional Android device to do that communication there. We got a friend here. One of our drone customers, actually. It's where the communication between the remote and the T40 is extremely stable. There's never any surprises, I should say, other than if you do lose signal and you go over a hill, something like that. But we haven't noticed any surprises like what we have seen with the XAG system. And there you go. You just have a little bit more to juggle on the XAG side with the 2 batteries, the phone and the remote. Stand out his way, go ahead. All right, whenever you make it out to the other end of the field, we're going to take a look at your camera.
All right.
Yeah, on the XAG. So you can pull that camera up right on the top of that phone there, and you can switch from downward to forward-facing camera. How would you say the quality is on that?
quality is definitely a lot more poor, especially as you can see when you switch. I'm not for sure what that means, but as you saw when I switched earlier, it glitched, lagged.
Yeah.
Well, there it goes, but yeah, right there it's lagging. It's just nothing showing. It's not moving.
Yeah. So it looks like the downward has maybe more problems than the forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course it's on a phone, so the screen's not as big.
Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm.
And I was losing some connectivity right there, and
Yeah.
that's the first I've noticed it today.
Does it show you signal strength between the drone and the remote on here?
Well, down here I see in the camera there's 3 bars that'll light up. Right now it's at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
Down below there's a Wi-Fi, which I'm guessing the Wi-Fi is the showing connectivity between the phone and the handheld controller.
You bet.
But I've reached the end of that pass. So.
Oh, you're at the end.
Yeah.
And is it still working? Looks like it's still working there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna bring the T40 back.
Return to home, RTH. Task complete.
Was that 4 battery sets for you?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is this is my 4th battery set here. And I'll just bring this one down and land on the ground. I think we'll call it right there at 4 battery sets. There you see the T40 has a nice smooth transition as it comes in. We're gonna fly it out here actually and land it on the ground. The manual control on the DJI system is really nice. You can switch back and forth simultaneously on the manual control. Are you here in this pass?
Right there it says 14.9, so 15 pretty much.
Okay, what's your battery life?
63%.
63, okay, versus 55. So, see the battery life is very similar on both the XAG and the T40. We actually, so in the T40 right now, we have a T40 battery, but all the T40s, all the new T40s, any new T40 battery that you get will actually be a different part number, DB1560, I believe it is. And that battery is actually higher voltage, meaning that you get more power out of it, you get longer flight time out of it for the new T40 batteries. So we should come back with, in this case we have 55%, we should come back with 5% more or more. So the battery life on both these drones is extremely similar. It seems like, at least as far as field operations go. Okay, so how many acres did you get done?
15.
15 acres, I got 18 acres done. That was both 4 tank loads, 4 batteries. So there you go, even with a bigger tank on the XAG, that 50-liter tank, we weren't actually able to get more acres done in the same time frame or the same amount of tanks actually, and that's largely just due to the swath width. So we just can't get the swath width out of the XAG, out of the P100 Pro. That could be more efficient with the XAG, but at a 2-gallon rate, when you're doing fungicide work and most work with drones is done at a 2-gallon rate, we're not seeing the efficiency that is being advertised out of the XAG P100 Pro. I would say, I don't know what your thought is.
Yeah, I mean, there was that instance where I let it go down a little bit before I brought it back. So even with that, we could say generously 15 and a half.
Yeah, on what you would have done acre-wise.
Which you got 18, so that's still fairly big difference.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so if we were doing a 3-gallon rate, 4-gallon rate, I think they may be more comparable. And you go higher than that for sure, and I think the XAG would have the hand on it. But in this situation here, I mean, this is what we were told the XAG was supposed to be really good at, is long, flat fields, half-mile long fields, where you can get that speed. You can use the speed, but we weren't able to see the 60 acre per hour efficiency out of this. out of the XAG. Actually, we're able to see less than 40. So really hoping to put it to the test somewhere where we can have a bit more of a closer match. Anything else you noticed just operating wise, the differences between the XAG and the T40?
Just that this was a little bit harder to get used to. As we saw out there, it did kind of land itself at one point. I didn't think I hit the controls. I must have, because it said I did. But then after I did that, I hit resume operation instantly when it said the controller took over, and then it landed itself after that. Took back off, said it was resuming, but didn't spray. So I'm not really for sure why it did that.
Yeah.
But that's the only big difference I noticed.
Yeah. Right. And so you think you hit the stick and that's what caused that?
That's what it said. It's when I was picking up the controller, so I very easily could have hit the stick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's what we've heard also is on the XAG system that if you hit the sticks while it's in operation, then it will do weird things, violate field boundaries and force landings, things like that. That's where the DJI system, having everything on one remote, your manual and automated control, you can, if we're flying automated with the T40, we can take over manually and it's not going to cause any problems. It's just going to fly manually, then you can resume from there. So I would say on the controller side, I mean, it's pretty obvious one here. The DJI has definitely the hand on the XAG. Okay. I guess that's about it, really. Anything else you want to add on the XAG side or DJI side?
No.
Yeah.
No, nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, both drones are good platforms. Build quality is very high on both drones. If I have to give an edge on build quality on the drone itself, it's probably on the XAG side. But if you crash at 30 miles an hour, I think you're going to tear stuff up on either drone. So I don't know that is that big of a deal, frankly. They're both modular systems on, for parts wise, and so all the parts can be swapped, pulled off, put on both drones if you ever have a problem. They both have spreader systems that are about the same capacity on both drones. So very, very similar platforms in a lot of regards, but very different in terms of how you actually operate them. All right, if you guys have any questions about what we just did here, let us know. We'll be bringing you more videos on XAG versus T40 in the future. Thanks.